What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here, and we got to talk about sitting through the boring parts of your business. Now, most people, they're not willing to sit through the boring parts of their business for long enough for their business to actually take off, for them to create momentum in their business. So I really want to talk about this whole thing. I mean, a lot of people, like, things aren't working out for them. You got to think about, like, why aren't things working out for you in terms of the way that you thought that they would? And what really happens is a lot of people, they're too much like in their feelings as they're doing things. So they're too much in their feelings, and this causes them to get demotivated. It causes them to quit because they're thinking too much about how everything feels as they're doing the thing. And if you keep doing that, you're simply going to give up. And I remember, like, when I was trying to get gigs as an entertainer and I'm trying to just get on stages to do my mentalism show and everything. So what I was doing is I was cold emailing. I was reaching out, like cold emailing. At first I started doing cold calls, but I was reaching out and it was boring. It was boring and it was hard. Like, in the beginning, I didn't know what to say. I mean, people, they would always say no to me. They would ignore my emails. It sucked. Like, it really sucked because cold emailing, in fact, doing any type of outreach is really boring. In the beginning, what was happening is I would get excited at first because I was excited in terms of, okay, I can get all these gigs. Oh, I'm going to make all this money. Oh my goodness. Oh, watch out, David Copperfield. So in the beginning, I was all excited. Then you start doing the work. Like, that's the problem. Like, you start doing the work and you realize, oh, wow, it actually takes some time. So you start doing the work. It takes time. You don't get the results that you expected within a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. You're not getting the results that you expected. Then what happens is you start getting into your feelings at this moment and you start to get demotivated because, once again, things aren't turning out the way you thought they would be. So you start getting demotivated. At that point, what usually happens is people tend to switch to something else. It's like, well, I mean, forget this cold email thing. Let me do this other thing. Let me write a book. And, like, people, they switch to something else. And the process repeats itself. So even if you switch to, let's say, writing a book, you're excited because you're like, oh my goodness, I'm the next J.K. Rowling, next Harry Potter. Oh my goodness. Oh, they got nothing on me. You get all excited. Then you start actually writing the book. And now you're thinking like, oh, wow, okay, it's kind of longer than I thought. It's a little bit harder than I thought. Okay, now your book is finished. You're like, yay. Now all of a sudden, oh, you're not the next J.K. Rowling. You're thinking, what the heck just happened? And that it happens over and over again. So it's like, once again, it's the boring parts of your business that build the business. Like, when I was building the entertainment business, it was the cold emailing. It was the task that I hated doing. I absolutely hated it. I remember watching a video with Steve Jobs where Steve Jobs, he was doing a commencement speech. And in the speech, he talked about, in terms of passion, he was like, oh yeah, a lot of people, like, they say that you have to have a lot of passion for what you do because it's so hard that any rational person would give up. And when I heard that, I was like, damn, like, he's right. I mean, of course, he created Apple, so he might have a little bit of credibility there. But when I heard that, he was like, it's so hard that any rational person would give up. And I thought to myself, exactly. Like, you literally have to be crazy to keep going. It's ridiculous. I don't think people understand how hard it is because as you're doing it, once again, it's boring as all hell. And you naturally get kind of demotivated as you're doing it. So you stop, you give up. And that's what Steve Jobs was talking about. He's like, look, it's rational to give up. If you keep doing something and it's not working, and you've been doing it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and it's not working, it's rational to give up. And that's what he was saying. But then there's also that saying of success takes it takes like 10 years to become an overnight success. And people aren't willing to wait that long. Like, nobody thinks it's going to take them that long. Absolutely nobody thinks it's going to take them that long, no matter what. Everyone hears that saying. They think, oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, patience, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, patience, persistence, all this stuff. Yeah, I get it. And then all of a sudden when they start doing it, 6 months go by and they're already done. The most damaging success advice I ever heard is do what you love. That is hands down the most damaging success advice I've ever heard. And the reason is because it's not about doing what you love. It's about doing what you must. If you must get it done, you have to get it done, regardless of whether you love doing it or not. I hated cold emailing, absolutely hated it, but I did it anyways because I knew that was a thing that was going to build my business. I hated creating advertisements for my business, but I knew that was a thing that was going to build the business. I remember when in the beginning, like before I even started doing the corporate stuff as an entertainer, I was doing restaurant magic. In fact, this was like when I was really young. I was 10 when I was like performing, well, when I was learning. 13 was when I started doing restaurant magic. Now, at that young of an age, I didn't have a car. I mean, I couldn't drive my car, whether or not my mom wanted to let me drive a car. No, I couldn't drive the car. So I had to actually take the bus. So I would take the bus to get these restaurant gigs. I'd go up and I'd take a bus. I hated taking the bus. I mean, because it took too long and all that stuff. I mean, I didn't like taking the bus, but I did it anyways because I knew that was a thing that was going to build my entertainment business at the time. I'd take the bus, go to all these restaurants one by one, go on the bus again. All right, let me do this. Let me get some other restaurants. All these GMs, they kept saying no to me. It would piss me the hell off. But basically, it was a thing that I hated doing. I did not like taking the bus. I did not like cold emailing. I did not like creating ads, but I did it anyways. So you need to understand that if it needs to get done, it needs to get done, whether that's by you or somebody else. And what I see a lot of people do is that they're so focused on this do what you love thing. They're like, oh, I don't really love doing this cold email stuff. I don't really love creating advertising. I love doing this thing. I just want to do this. And it's kind of like, well, do you have the money to pay someone to do all the other things that have to get done? Because if you don't, you better do it. It doesn't matter if you love doing it or not. You better do it. It's not do what you love. It's do what you must. The tasks that grow your business are the tasks that you don't like doing. I can guarantee you that. Most people, they don't do these tasks long enough to create enough momentum to build their business. They just don't do it long enough. They don't do it hard enough. Whether or not they're doing the right things, wrong thing, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters in terms of whether you're doing right or wrong thing. But a lot of people, like when they're doing the right thing, they're simply not doing it long enough to create enough momentum because everyone's stuck in this whole thing of I'm only going to do what I love. Oh, I'm only going to do what I love. Look, when a billionaire tells you that, when a millionaire tells you that, hey, you do the things that you love and you hire everybody else for all these other things. Hey, if you have the money, yes, that's exactly what you do. But in the beginning, you don't have the money. You simply don't in the beginning. And even as you grow, even when you do make seven figures, you're still going to have to do things that you don't want to do. No matter what it is, you have to get to a point where you truly understand this. You have to be willing to sit through the boring parts, sit through the parts that you hate in order to grow your business. And the same thing happened with like building my online business, building my personal brand. The tasks, they're repetitive, insanely repetitive. Like you create content, you write the emails, you create the ads. That's basically all you're doing all day, every day. You create content, you write emails, and you create some ads. You create content, you write emails, you create some ads. More content, more emails, more ads. That's basically all you're doing to build your business. And I didn't like doing advertising. I didn't like sitting down and writing the copy and trying to figure this out and doing all these pixels and all this stuff and tracking it and retargeting. I didn't like doing any of that stuff, but I did it because I knew that was the thing that was going to generate the revenue. I knew that was the thing that was going to build the business. So I did it anyways. I didn't care if I liked it. I did it anyways. I didn't like putting numbers in a spreadsheet because what I was doing is as I was doing the advertising, I would put numbers in a spreadsheet. I would say, okay, here's how many leads we generated today. Here's how much revenue we generated today. Here's how much, and I would put all these numbers into a spreadsheet. I hated doing that. I mean, if I could literally not do it or click a button and boom, it was done, I would love to do that, but I couldn't. Like there was nothing there that allowed me to put those numbers into a spreadsheet like that. So I had to do it every single day. And that's what truly actually helped build the business because I knew my numbers. And so a lot of people, they're just unwilling to do these things. They're unwilling to do the boring things in order to get to the good parts of their business, in order to build their business. Almost everything that will help your business grow are the things that you don't like doing. That is why people give up. They don't like doing it, so they give up. They just say, well, I mean, yeah, I want to be a millionaire. I want to build this amazing business, but I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't want to do any of that. No, that's exactly how people operate. People are willing to say it. Like they're willing to go online. They're willing to say, oh yeah, hustle, grind all day, every day. But when it actually comes down to actually doing it, oh, it's a whole different story because once again, they're in their feelings. When you post online, when you post on social media, you're in your head. Like you're thinking about, oh, what's a cool way to say this? Oh, okay, yeah, let me hustle all day, every day. Like what's a cool way to say this thing? But when you're doing the work, you are now in your feelings at that moment. You're doing the work. You're sitting down and you're actually writing a cold email to send out to pitch somebody. You're actually sitting down. You got to figure out this whole advertising stuff with the pixels and making sure that it's all set up the right way. And oh, you don't understand the technology. Oh, that part. Oh, it sucks. Like it sucks. but people aren't willing to sit through that part. And to make it worse, you have to do it for a long period of time. That's the worst part about it. Like, it's not just, oh, let me do it for a week. Let me do it for a month. No. It's going to be years. Like, you got to understand that. It takes years for this to happen. That's why there's that saying of, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. And that is not over exaggerating. 10 years is not over exaggerating. If anything, it's under exaggerating it. 10 years, once again, it's not over exaggerating it. You have to think about business the same way as if you wanted to learn a sport, anything that you want to get good at. You can't expect to be good at it immediately, no matter what. If you want to be a great boxer, great basketball player, tennis player, golfer, poker player, it doesn't matter what it is you want to do. You can't expect to get good at it immediately. No matter how much practice you put in within a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you still will not be great at it. It doesn't matter how much you practice. It's going to take a decade for you to become great at it. So you have to understand that when it comes to your business. If things aren't working, it's usually because you're not doing the right things, you're not doing the right things often enough, or you're just doing the right things the wrong way, or you're literally just doing the wrong things. So it's like either you're not doing the right things, number one, you're not doing the right things often enough, or you're just doing the right things the wrong way. And that's usually what happens in terms of why things aren't working out for you. And if you're doing the wrong things, then no matter how long you work for, it simply won't work. If you're not doing the right things often enough, like once again, if you think, oh, it's only going to take me a couple months for this to work instead of several years, what's going to happen, you're going to get demotivated and you're going to quit. If you're doing the right things the wrong way, then you're going to be, once again, you're doing the right things, but you're not doing it the right way. So all of a sudden, you just won't get the results. So you don't really know what problem you have if you're doing things by yourself. This is why everyone keeps saying, like, you got to get a mentor, you got to get coached and all that. It's kind of like if you want to be a boxer and you're trying to figure it out yourself, you're not really watching videos on how to do it, or you don't have a coach, then it's going to be really hard for you. It's going to take a lot longer for you to get that thing done. Whereas if you say, I'm going to be the world's greatest boxer, and you all of a sudden have Mike Tyson training you, you're going to get there a whole lot faster. That's why everyone keeps saying, like, get a mentor and all that stuff. And so success has a way of weeding out people who don't want it bad enough. That's what success is all about. Success says, look, you think you want this thing. I get it. Everybody does. Let's see how bad you really want it. In success, it weeds out the people who are unwilling to sit through the boring parts of their business in order to grow their business. Because what's happening, like, throughout the entire time, people are distracting themselves. They're distracting themselves with consuming too much content. You're going on YouTube watching cat videos. You're going on TikTok, and it's hilarious. I got to admit, TikTok is hilarious, but you have to literally stop yourself. Well, all social media, you're scrolling on social media. I don't scroll anymore on social media. I stop myself from scrolling. If you aren't the first thing to pop up when I hop on Instagram, then I'm not liking your photo or anything, because I don't scroll anymore on social media because I don't want to consume. It distracts you from what it is you need to do. People, they distract themselves in all kinds of ways. They're working on their business card instead of actually reaching out to get business. They're working on their website instead of actually spending money on advertising to get people to the website. So people are always distracting themselves, and they wonder why things aren't happening. I remember, like, even as I was writing these notes for this podcast, like, I'm sitting down writing some notes and saying, oh, what am I going to say? I'm sitting down. For some reason, I wanted to say to the Amazon Echo, I wanted to be like, oh, Alexa, what's the weather like? Like, even though it made no sense, I didn't care. I mean, I could just look out my window. I could see what the weather's like. It didn't matter. But for some reason, I wanted to ask the Echo what the weather is like. Because my brain, it wanted to distract itself. It's kind of like, hey, you're working on this thing. I wonder what the weather's like. And so that's just what happens. People distract themselves. So a lot of times people, they're training their brains to do things when they're entertained. So a lot of people right now, like, you're training your brain to only do things when you're entertained. You're training your brain to literally do the opposite of what it takes to become successful. Literally. you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm only going to do things when I get a dopamine fix in my brain. Like, oh, let me go on social media. Ha ha, that's hilarious. Oh my God. Ha ha ha. And you're training your brain to do that. Whereas the things that you need to watch, the things that are actually going to help you and improve your life are the things that are probably going to be very boring to watch. It's going to be the TED Talks, things like that. It's going to be things that are a whole lot more boring to watch than something on Netflix or something on social media. But you have to do it if you truly want it. Once again, success has a way of weeding people out who don't really want it that bad. You need to train yourself, train to work with purpose. Like train yourself to work where you don't need to be entertained. You don't need to be entertained to actually accomplish or to actually make things happen. You've trained yourself at this moment, you've trained yourself to be entertained in order to get things done. Well, you just train yourself just to be entertained through social media and all that stuff. Most people, they can't even sit down for 90 minutes straight without a distraction. They can't even sit down, literally turn their phone on airplane mode or do not disturb, not even look at it for 90 minutes straight. People can't even do that anymore. You have to train yourself to do that. You have to train your brain to focus on the boring parts, whether you like it or not. Train yourself to work regardless of being entertained. Watch YouTube videos that aren't fun. They're not fun in any way, but they're useful. Go watch a video on how to create YouTube ads or how to create Google ads. It's going to be boring as all hell, but I guarantee that video is going to help you out a whole lot more than watching TikTok videos. I mean, it's like you have to understand, like, why are you doing this to begin with? That's what you want to keep reminding yourself of. Why are you even doing this? Why are you trying to build your business? What's the purpose? You have to keep reminding of yourself this. I do it every day, like in the shower, every single day, like morning and night when I take a shower, like every single time. I'm reminding myself why I'm doing this because that allows me to actually get through the boring parts of the business. And one of the things that really helped me was that Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is where you work for a certain period of time, then you take a quick break. You work for a certain period of time, take a quick break. So like I'll work for 90 minutes, take a 10 or 15 minute break. Work for 90 minutes, take a 10, 15 minute break. And so you do that just off and on. And when you're working, you're literally just working. Everything is on do not disturb mode. Like nobody can reach you at that moment. It doesn't matter what happened in the world. Nobody can reach you in that very moment. That's what you have to do. You have to train yourself that way. The people who can focus for longer periods of time, will have a huge advantage over everyone else, especially nowadays. Nowadays, everyone's so addicted to social media, people can't even get away from their phones for 90 minutes straight. Like I guarantee, or 2 hours, however long you want, most people can't even do it for 30 minutes. I guarantee if you just set your phone down, like let's say you set it down, put on do not disturb mode, whatever you want, but you just set it down, your brain is literally going to think, I wonder what texts I got. I wonder if anybody commented on my Instagram post. Like that's what's going to happen. You're going to have this natural tendency to want to pick up your phone. And it's like most people can't even just let their phone sit there for 90 minutes. You have to get out of your feelings if you want to actually grow your business. You have to truly do this, because the problem is that you're doing things based on how you feel rather than what needs to get done. You can't do things based on how you feel. You need to do things based on whether or not it needs to get done. Because if you're too much in your feelings, you're going to get demotivated. It's guaranteed that you will get demotivated if you're too much in your feelings. Because as you're doing things, it's not going to work out the way you thought. Nothing ever works out the way you thought it would be. So you're going to keep doing it. You're going to wonder, like, why is this not working? Oh my goodness. You're going to focus on your feelings, focus on it not working. Boom, you're going to quit. You're done for. You're going to wonder, like, oh, why are you feeling so confused? You're going to feel like uncertain. You're not going to really know what it is you should be doing. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, well, I got to do more research. I got to sit down, write my business plan out. Instead of actually working and doing the things that you should be doing, you're going to, let me do more research and on this stuff. Like, let me create a plan on what I need to do. It's like people don't understand this in terms of sitting through the boring parts. I mean, have I gotten demotivated? Of course I have. Everybody's gotten demotivated before, but I get up the next day and I do it anyways. I mean, nowadays is very different than when I started because I've had plenty of practice with it. So nowadays it's kind of like, if it happens, I literally just ignore it. I'm just like, all right, cool, on to the next thing. And so it happens a whole lot less. But in the beginning, you have to truly understand that it's going to happen to you. You have to like get around it. You have to sit through the boring parts if you want to build your business. So have I ever wondered, like, have I woken up and I wonder like, oh, what do I need to do today to get business? Like, oh, I don't really know what to do. Well, of course it's happened to me. Now, deep down, when you say to yourself, I don't really know how to get business, like deep down, I guarantee you know the answer. I guarantee 100% you know exactly what you should be doing. exactly what you should be doing. You just don't do it. You know the answer. You're just not doing it. You know that if you want to get business, you should either like maybe reach out to somebody, cold email, cold call. You know you can spend money on advertising. You know these things. But what happens? Your brain creates an excuse. Well, I mean, I don't really have the money to advertise. Nah, well, cold email, I don't really know like what to say. And I mean, cold call, I mean, nobody picks up their phone nowadays. Like that's exactly what happens. Like everyone knows what they need to do to get business. They just don't do it. And so successful people, they do things despite how they feel. They simply don't care. Like, I don't care if I don't like cold emailing. I know that's the thing that's going to build my business. I'm going to do it anyways. I know I don't like doing the ads and all that stuff. I'm going to do it anyways. That's the difference between successful people and everybody else. You have to turn the bad feelings into good ones. So like when I was cold emailing, once again, I hated it. I freaking hated the thing. But what I did is I created like my high score game. So basically I would sit down and I would say, okay, yesterday I sent out X number of emails. Today I'm going to beat that number. And that's what I was doing. I was like trying to beat my number every single day. Or for example, like you keep thinking about your why. I mentioned this earlier. You keep thinking about your why in terms of turning the good feelings into bad ones. You turn anger into ambition. If you get pissed off, then all of a sudden you say, you know what, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. Okay, F all you guys. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. If you like, you're doing these things, you're turning bad feelings into good ones. Like I remember when I wanted to do more cardio and I hated doing cardio on the machines, like the treadmill and all that stuff. I hated it. So I said, okay, what's the cardio that I can do that's going to just be more fun for me? So boom, I did boxing instead. And so what you're doing, you can turn these bad feelings into good ones if you have to, but you have to make sure that you're always moving fast. You have to be impatient. If a feeling doesn't move you toward your goals, then you have to ignore those feelings. If you're doing something and that feeling is literally stopping you from doing it, you ignore that feeling and you do it anyways. This is why like a lot of people say, successful people, they talk about meditation, because meditation, what it does, it's like you notice those feelings, you just don't act on them. It's like, well, okay, you notice yourself get demotivated and then you notice a demotivation and you just ignore it. You're just like, okay, on to the next thing. What's going to happen over time is you're going to get numb to anything that doesn't improve your life. Like you're just going to get numb to it. If you're doing sales, you're going to get so many no's, you're going to become numb to the no's. You're going to say like, hey, would you like to buy this thing? People are going to be like, no. Okay, on to the next one. Hey, would you like to buy this? No. Hey, on to the next one. Like that's what's going to happen. You're just going to get numb to it. You're going to fail so many times. You're going to get numb to it. That's exactly what happened to me. Like in the beginning, you get all butthurt about it. You're like, oh, damn, didn't work. Oh my goodness, my whole life is over. Oh, my dreams are done for. Like in the beginning, that's what's happening. But eventually, like you fail so many times, you're just like, oh, well, I expected it. All right, on to the next thing. And that's literally what happens to you. So you have to get to this point. Like you need to create momentum in your business by doing the boring things. You have to get enough energy that you couldn't stop if you wanted to. Even if you wanted to, your brain has thought about it so much, it simply cannot stop thinking about it anymore. You get addicted to the momentum. You have to make sure that you sit through the boring parts of your business to get to the good parts of your business.